This is going to be a quick Julia Child style installation guide for the R-Hop where everything's been prepared ahead of time, so you can just see how it comes out. So the first thing you're going to do, come up with your stock full-length R-Hop. It should be just a little too long, so you mark how long it should be on this, measure twice, cut once. You then use a very sharp blade, something like a utility knife you can use. Pull one out here. Great. You got that? And it can very easily just cut it. Easier, of course, if you bring it to the edge and can bring the knife down. Okay. So then, you have the right length, but you probably don't have the right depth. So what you're going to want to start with is something like a piece of sandpaper here. You're just going to pop it out. I have this one here. And just gently bring it back and forth on this to sand it down. This is the easiest way. Now this is relatively high grit paper. You're going to want to use relatively high grit paper. This is 420. As it just so happens, you may want to start a little lower. Now I should mention the Z-Kit is a little bit different because it comes pre-sized. So what you should do is test each of the three sizes and see which one fits closest to your stock barrel window depth. And you can, from there, basically just drop it in like this. Now, from there, to make sure it's flush on the outside, this is Makey's sanding method. You can just go back and forth on the barrel with sandpaper like this. If you don't have too much channel intrusion to start, you can actually stick the rod from the installation aid in the barrel to sort of stabilize it in there, make sure you're not pushing it too far in, and continue sanding, right? You do that till you've got a nice flush outside. Now, you will probably find you have ever so slightly too much channel intrusion still. What you need to do, pop it out, and I brought it over here to the R-Hop installation aid. This is the channel component, and you're going to take the rod, and you're just going to take a little bit of sandpaper. Normally, if you have two hands, you can pinch a little bit longer, but you're going to make sure that it's nice and rounded on there, and then go over and usually I put my thumb right here, just the thumbnail, keeps the R-Hop in place at the edge, and just gently sand it, right? I obviously can't hold this in place with one hand, but you see this is not rocket science. It's important to flip the R-Hop around to make sure you're doing it evenly, and try and keep the rod level. Now, to prevent pinch jams, this is the real trick. You're going to bring this right to the edge here, and on the trailing edge of the R-Hop, you're just going to go bring that angle up and go down, right? And just dragging it and bringing it down like that. And that's going to just radius that edge a little bit. And that's going to keep that from being pinched between the barrel and the BB right there, which would be a pinch jam. Now from there, you stick it back into your barrel. Generally, if you can't stick this rod in with little or no interference, that means that you'll get overhop. In this case, it looks like the rod goes in and out perfectly easily. I'm not sure if we can get a view down the bore that's of any help here. No, we can't. It's all really reflections. There should be very little barrel intrusion. If this is your first time and you think you've got it, chances are you've got a little bit further to go. And there, once you're done, you can test it. Make sure your bucking has no mound on it. You can just flip your bucking on, drop it in there, test it a bit. If you're satisfied with how the install goes, pop it off. Put just a tiny little dab. You don't even need to pop it all the way off. You can just sort of, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, you can just sort of lift it up, just that tiny little bit at the edge, and just with a pin, just get a hint of CA down there at the edge, and wipe it down with your thumb, or whatever. Make sure that it's bonded. Do that at both sides. You can sort of, again, pull it back a little bit at the front and rear and get, again, with a pin, just a hint of CA. You just want it around the edge. You do not want CA in your bore. That is a pain to get rid of. And then you're done. Put your bucking on. You can also bond it to your bucking. I do that by you flip your bucking inside out, or with the slower cure stuff, you can actually just slide your bucking on with wet CA on it. But it's easy, just a hint of a drop. And you have to make sure that it can't seep in, so that your R-Hop is fine on all sides. Just a hint of a drop on there. Unroll your bucking that's been turned inside out over it, and then proceed to install that. Alternately, you can seal your bucking in place with something like RTV or gasket maker, and you're all set.